the sort of old business.
Okay, and so where are we at with old business?
Michelle, if you kind of want to jump into updates and then kind of the budget, we can go over a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, I got a lot this month, but shouldn't be too painful. Salary invoice we did. Next thing I want to discuss, so the Bank of Green County gave us a $500 donation to the Housing Trust Fund. I sent this morning the signed, the same exact stuff we did for the trust go. So the signed letter from the Bank of Green County saying there's no stipulations, and then also the vote from the Housing Trust Fund Committee to accept the funds. So if you all would like to accept the funds, you guys can do that, and then you can deposit the check.
Do we need a motion for them to accept the funds?
Yeah.
Yes. Can I get a motion to accept the funds from the bank?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Next thing is for the CD renewal. The Housing Trust Fund Committee voted to renew it, the amount up to you all. The current CD at the Bank of Green County, the best one they have is a 5-month CD. So I would recommend that we just roll over what we have in there. We're not going to need those funds during the next 5 months.
What's the rate?
So it's 4.4% rate and then 4.6% APY.
For 5 months?
And for 5 months, yeah.
So when we discussed this last month, we were going to roll over all of it, we were going to keep a piece of it out.
Yeah, so that was my thought because the last CD was 8 months, but this one's 5 months. So that extra 3 months, might think like we won't need those as much funds. So since they'll be up in 5 months, I think we can have a higher amount in it.
And so, you current funds on hand that you have right now are sufficient?
Yeah. Yeah.
And to roll that over, do me and Margaret need to go into the bank?
I believe so.
Okay,
Yeah.
just us two, and that should be sufficient.
Yeah, because I don't have, there's nothing that's me on the account at all.
Yeah.
I think it's just,
Okay,
So when does it expire?
I think it was like the last week or 2 weeks.
August 10th.
August, okay, so we can just arrange to meet.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do it
Yeah.
tomorrow, we can do it tomorrow.
I work tomorrow, different job.
Okay.
But next.
Just, yeah, just let me know.
Well, yeah, well,
Thank you. And then, part of the Housing Trust Fund budget is for this past year, for 2024, is $11,000 to Hcdpa to cover admin costs like the audit and attorney fees. So it's just up for you all to transfer.
Can you
the
pull
funds.
up the budget?
yeah, I have the budget then.
It's not displaying.
Should be sharing. It says it's sharing.
Oh, now it is. Okay, sorry, now I see it now. Yes, thank you.
Sorry, so you were saying, so we need a motion to,
Well, I think we should go through each line in the budget first. Don't we have to?
Oh, we're not there just yet.
Oh,
I'm just saying for this year, it's in our budget to transfer funds
Oh,
from the
okay.
Housing Trust Fund to your
Okay.
general account.
yeah,
So just like, I'm not sure if you need to go over.
that's the 2024 actual.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So just like a reminder to do that.
Do we need a motion for, for the CD to continue? So Logan, it's in writing for Logan and Teresa,
Yeah.
Margaret? So
Yes.
we just- Can I get a motion? Is that okay, Michelle, just did? Yeah. Can I get a motion to have Logan and Margaret go to the bank and roll over the CD into, what, 5 months you said along with? 5 months?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead, Michelle. Sorry.
Yes, I don't know if you guys need to do anything for the transfer funds, or it's just like authorizing that.
in the past so last year, how much was moved from HTF to the Hcdpa general
I
account?
think it was 11,000.
Okay,
Do we need a motion for that? To move the 11,000? We do. Okay.
So what was that? To move the $11,000 from HCA and our account? Is that what you said?
Yes.
to HCDPA's general account.
Can I
That
get,
covers the audit cost.
yeah, great. Can I get a motion to move the $11,000 from Housing Trust Funds into HCDPA?
Motion.
Second,
Right, second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Pass. Thank you.
Thanks. And I'll give a couple, other.
I'm sorry,
things.
Michelle, could I just clarify, board, that was for this year's cost, not for next year's cost? This is next year's budget.
Correct. This is 2024.
I'm sorry, what's 2024?
So Logan has the next year's budget up, but right now we're talking about transferring the 2024 admin amount to HCDPA. That's what we just discussed.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was clear for the minutes and that you're not, transferring funds for the 2025 budget at this point.
Yeah, so it's a reimbursement for money that HCDPA has already spent.
Right.
Yeah, what do you
Sorry,
want?
I can't hear everything as well as I could.
No, that's all right.
No, thank you.
Better to be safe.
So we, just for clarification, that's for the 24 budget, the reimbursement of the audit funds.
Yeah, general admin audit. attorney.
Yeah.
Next thing is I'll let you guys know, this city, since we finished the CDBG program, we're looking to apply for access funds to do modifications, accessibility modifications, and as well as home repair. It's called Home is the grant name, but it also needs housing rehab, kind of like CDBG. And so what we're looking for is, I'm going to send this out tomorrow in an email to kind of like a press release, but I have paper copies looking for people who might be interested in getting work done on their houses. Whether they can be tenants, if it's accessibility modifications. But for the larger rehab, they have to be the homeowner, it has to be single family. This isn't guaranteeing that they'll get that. We're still applying, so we just want to show on our application that we have interest. So in case, I know a lot of this is going to be online, the forms, but I printed out paper copies in case anyone wants to take them and give them to people who know. This way, people aren't as online as
Is
savvy.
there income?
Yeah. It has to be below 80% of area median income.
I'll talk to you about that number. Show what that number
Sure.
is.
Um,
I want one too, but I'll talk to you.
I didn't put the numbers on here because there's a lot of ways of looking at people's incomes, and I don't want people to rule themselves out. Do
Okay,
you know what I mean? I'd rather
Yes.
they submit their interest, and then there's some wiggle room sometimes with some of the admin plans. So,
right. That's my,
okay, yeah.
my name. I'll get it.
And then, Hudson Roots update. So this month we helped 3 households, but it was 13 people total. There's some larger households. 2 requests had to do with, not enough work hours. One, there was a death, in the person's family. Another was for background support, just because someone's rent increased or their income increased, but then there's a lag between the rent increase before they got their income. So this is to help with that gap. We are down to really the bottom of the funds. We've got 2,500 left. Promise has submitted a request to the county for some of their ARPA funds to help to continue the program because we've run through the 50,000.
They got approved.
It did get approved? Awesome. Okay, so this is also great because we showed the county, we also put the data from our program into the request to the county as they look at what we've done and how effective it's been. I think that's also one of the reasons why the county put money in, so that's great. So the program, even though we're running out and we're going to be probably wrapping out with our funds next month, Promise will still be able to help people through the end of the year with the county money. Yeah.
Do they have a program for, teach people how to finance, how to manage, like a preventive type of thing, like a hands up type of program?
Yeah, I actually spoke with Adolfo. There's a program called Working Credit. A lot of folks, they're managing their money pretty well. It's just income.
Oh, everybody in it is managing, yeah.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the issue has to do with how they can get.
$50.
Yeah.
200. What you can do
Yeah.
to manage that.
So
Yeah, they really need to teach that in the schools early,
yeah.
about credit, just
Yeah, so Working
to
Credit program,
understand. what it's about.
Yeah, I think what I like about it is that it's not so much about like how to do a better job budgeting your money, it's kind of understanding that people's incomes are, like the cost of living is so high, but thinking more like, okay, if life situations happen, if your credit's low, like what can you do to help? So that, because I know that's an issue for a lot of people looking for apartments and housing and
Yes.
stuff. So, in talks with them about, can we bring them back or do some more workshops or one-on-one stuff too? So I'll keep you updated.
Is that county money expandable since it came from the county? Is it only for Hudson residents or does it exclude?
It's for the whole county. Yeah,
It's good to know just because.
yeah.
How much is it?
I know that's for 200.
It's 200K.
Yeah. And
So that's going to replace, that's going to be on top of it. It's going to be the same thing as the roots, but same format, the roots.
So it's not, it's very, very similar. I think they're gonna run it the same way. I think like Hudson Roots, because of it's under us with the Housing Trust Fund, we have some specific rules that aren't gonna be applicable
Mhm.
to that, but I think it's gonna be managed very similarly. It can be for mortgage assistance as well as rental assistance. And the nice thing is that, you know, we currently can't help anyone outside of Hudson, but this will be able to help people beyond Hudson.
Who's going to administer?
Promise. Yeah.
And would that do modifications too?
Yeah.
You know, it's just for your truck, I mean,
Yeah.
or airport, dark, I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever they, okay, great, thank you.
Yeah. You know, also like on kind of a side note related to the accessibility, Plum Opportunities they just got refunded for the weatherization program. They can be able to help about 100 households this year, and they just hired some new staff. So I'm going to need that after Labor Day to also see how we can work with them with that. So if there are some things that maybe, you know, we're finding some more needs beyond the city of Hudson, we can maybe work with Plum Opportunities to help people up beyond Hudson. So. Any other Hudson News questions? Okay. So then the last two things, one of them, before we talk about next year's budget, so for this year, we have like a large program budget in the Housing Trust Fund. The idea being in case there was like a development that came out for like needed funds for acquisition, we had some funds there. The Housing Trust Fund Committee, they voted to recommend to you all to spend $2,500 to for Crystal Peck, the Common Council attorney, to draft some zoning revisions based on the recommendations that BFJ did last year for some small tweaks to the zoning code. The main one we want to do is look at, can we have ADUs in our zoning code? Part of the reason for the quickness of it is that Hudson was left out of the
Yes.
county's
Yeah.
Exactly.
ADU grant because we don't have it on the books. We've spoken with Craig, and some of this is kind of small sums of language. A lot of the zoning districts kind of allow it, they just don't call it ADUs. And so the idea would be we could work with Crystal for her to, you know, pay for her time to give you all to the legal committee.
I did have a question on this.
Yeah.
I was unable to attend that meeting, where it was discussed. Someone who was there briefed me afterwards. So my understanding is that this is a program where, again, it's income driven. Funds are available up to 150,000 for the homeowner to build one of these units, correct?
Yeah.
So the only thing that we need to do is to change our code so that people can apply. We wouldn't be involved in any way
For this year.
in the application, right?
Yeah, no.
We're out for this round.
Yeah.
But the city of Hudson is eligible to apply for the grant for ourselves, for just the city. But we
I
have.
don't understand that. So I think you had in your proposed budget, you had monies for Crystal to modify the code, correct?
So when we did the draft budget workshop in July, we had it for next year's budget.
Right,
And when we met at our last meeting, the committee wanted to use it this year.
I see, okay,
Yeah, because
okay.
the grant, so the county wanted it in January, the application was due, but I think it was like over Christmas or like January.
December something.
Yeah.
I went to the meeting.
Mhm.
So the county has applied and got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And the city of Hudson was left out because of our code.
yeah.
So if we modify our code now, what does that mean Like, are we then able to, people will be able to participate immediately or?
No, we will be applying for our own grant.
Okay, okay.
Which is also in some ways, I think, better, because number one, the county's doing a lot of work to get the contractors, like, understand the process and like working through some of the kinks. And so we'll have learned from their experience. And number two, we'll get a lot more funding doing it on our own, because they're spreading it out geographically. So Hudson, if we were in it this year, we would only get one or two. But if we apply our own, we can do.
And so if we're going to do this on our own, are we then going to have to administer the program?
Yeah. Mhm.
But the process itself, the individual applies for the
Mhm.
funding, correct?
Correct.
So what do we, what's our role on this?
The city would apply for the grant. I don't know if Repco is a partner with the county right now, if they are interested in being a partner again. All the county is doing, they're basically like coordinating the outreach events.
Yeah.
And they're passing the funds through to Repco, but Repco is doing everything else.
Right, and they're getting a committee to go over the applications. Repco is forming a committee that will review all the applications coming in.
Yeah, so I'm on the committee with the county to like help make the application and stuff. So I'm like also getting to learn about how the grant's being run and everything.
Now, when we apply, will it be for this year or next year?
So I don't know when the grant would come out, but I think it would be between, last year's, it was like between November and January.
Mhm.
So I think we would get the funds like spring 2025 if we were to receive them.
And so I got a sense of urgency from the minutes, of changing the code. I mean, how urgent is this?
I mean, I think one of the things we discussed is that you can make smaller tweaks and move faster,
Yes.
right?
Right.
And so I think that's I think that's where the community is like, I think Crystal can kind of give a memo, right? Like, here's a pretty small tweak. There's a couple of districts that are really well suited for ADUs, and it's just a matter of changing the language. That could probably get through pretty, like, much more quickly.
Right.
And then I also like larger changes probably are better to wait till the comp plan is done and we have that in place. So I think that was the idea, was small changes that would just allow some more.
So I think, when, in the interest of time and so forth, I think the best route would be for Crystal to come up with proposed modifications to the code, have Craig review it, et cetera, and then just take it directly to the council.
Okay.
I think taking it through legal is unnecessary.
Anybody else got any thoughts here?
So Michelle,
Yes.
it's because it's basically a consultant to do that work, right? So
Mhm.
how does the wordage parallel to, maybe Chris can chime in, to make sure the description, everything parallels to the grant and the bylaws and all that? Is everything synced up? With the
Are
word-
you talking about this expense in the housing trust fund? Or yeah, so one of the allowable uses for the housing trust fund is for housing policy, and housing policy recommendations.
Okay, and for us, Chris, any issues with conflicts or thoughts on making sure we get the wordage right?
Well, I think if you're gonna authorize work by the city for you, really, because it's the city's contract with Crystal, you probably need to authorize that for, articulate exactly what you want the result to be, right? State what it is that your goal is and what your aim is, so that they're, what you're, and you're not to exceed amount, right?
That sounds simple. You thought, you had an idea, Michelle, because I think science is kind of simple, just make sure it's streamlined, so it's really identified,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
kind of same thing what we did CBD grant kind of deal, right?
Yeah, I think the way the committee discussed it was to authorize up to $2,500 for Crystal to write some options for zoning revisions related to including ADUs and suitable zoning codes, zoning districts.
And what's the wordage that we need just to make sure it, for Crystal is for the contract to make it happen, Chris?
You mean, in other words, for the amendments to the zoning code to authorize EDUs for the purpose of potentially qualifying for the state grant program?
Right,
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
yeah.
so another question I had on this was why, I think we should look up why we do not permit ADUs right now. Why does the code not permit? What is the rationale?
Yeah, one of the things that I spoke with Greg, so it depends on the zoning district. Some of them, it's really just about vocabulary. Like according to Craig, it's like we have them, like if you walk down, you know what I mean? You walk down a lot of alleys, we see a lot of,
Right.
right? And
Apartments
it's just like,
above a garage and everything.
yeah, it's just literally the language we use is not EDU, it's like just a dwelling space. There's other zoning districts where we're getting into issues of like, can the fire access the yards, et cetera. So I think it depends. I think some of the zoning districts would be pretty, it's just a matter of vocabulary. There are others where we might have to have a discussion, which, you know, like with, I mean, also like R1 is gonna be harder because to a lot of people, R1 should only have one family, right? So like that, you know, some of that, if the council wants to discuss that, I think what we're looking for is like, we're gonna give them, right? And so some of them, like a lot of the CC, the GC district, et cetera, like it's just vocabulary. But some of them, like R1, might be more of a philosophical idea.
Right, that's the question.
Yeah.
So I think, Dominic, you're on the legal committee, I think that this conversation would be better in full council. Would you agree? Like the rationale for, looking at why in some areas we do not permit.
And I kind of think, Dominic, that maybe we should just, we already kind of know that we didn't get the grant, the company kind of did. And if you go on my street, Worth Avenue, the houses on me, I don't know what side that is, with the hill, a lot of them have backyards that have apartments in them already, and I think it is just wording, because there are apartments of this, apartments with basement apartments. So, yeah, I to move on, I think we just need to.
I think we just need to put it together and present it to
Yeah,
the council, because the legal.
it's not that,
Already has a lot.
yeah, it's not that in depth.
Especially with good cause and everything.
And I think the idea too was with the housing trust fund funding it, we go to the council with Crystal has done some work, or like,
Right,
options, make it easier for you all.
Yeah, I think taking it directly to the council is the way to go. And Chris, part of what Crystal can do is walk us through, the rationale, like in which cases it would be language issue versus this particular zoning area does not have and was never supposed to have ADUs, et cetera. So she can walk us through that. But I think we should go straight on.
Can we bring it to a vote tonight?
Yeah.
So the vote this evening is just for the 2,500 to give you funds to the Crystal, right? Yeah.
But that's just part of the budget, that's part of.
No, this is different. It was in the budget as proposed, but in the last meeting, because of timing and so forth.
Okay, so
the
it's
idea
a
was,
separate.
instead of waiting for next year, we should do it this year and therefore move the money in right now so that they can engage Crystal.
Chris, are you comfortable with the wording right now, so we can put it on for vote?
Yeah, I think you might also want to reference the reason that you are, it may be understood among all of you, but you may want to articulate the reason that you want to encourage the development of ADUs.
Right.
Okay. So can I get a motion to accept the $2,500 for a consultant to research and to change the accessible dwelling laws, codes, right? ADUs for the city? Can I get a motion to
For that
for the
reason.
funds? Yeah, for that reason, for the funds.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Does that work, Chris?
So Chris, I'm not so sure that we should be explaining our rationale for why we think ADUs should be authorized, because I think that that's really, it depends on the research Crystal does. And I think it's really for the council to decide whether or not we think it's a good idea to allow them. I think it's really up to us.
Well, it is certainly up to the council to decide where they want to allow them. My point was, why is the Hcdpa using housing trust funds for this purpose? And I think that one thing that you can look at is that your housing study did indicate that the city should consider increasing the opportunity for ADUs in the city. You know, where that's appropriate, where you decide to do it is certainly up to you. But I think you need to tie the purpose of spending this funds, because you know, you're not there just to support expenses of the city. They have to be aimed at trying to assist low moderate income folks and housing needs, right?
Okay. So, yeah, so I think the language around this is then to look into what coding changes need to be amended so that low-income residents in Hudson will be able to qualify for funding for ADUs in the future. Does that work, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And, you know, this is just, as you said, this is not a lot of money. So you're just looking at some very targeted changes with this one, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm. And I would, yeah, I think that's fine. And then I just would suggest that whoever's communicating on this probably should have the corp counsel attorney should, you know, render the normal bill that she would normal, but itemized for this particular project. And then, you know, that would be able to then be forwarded to the Hcdpa, but it should still be addressed to the city because it's, you know, she's the city's attorney, right? The county council's attorney, right? So just it should be separately itemized.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Is that all for Michelle?
So the last thing is that the last committee, the committee did vote on a recommended budget for 2025. So now that is in your hand.
So can we pull that up?
So
So
you would want to take that into account in developing your own budget, right? So you wouldn't be voting on that tonight.
no, but
Right.
just based on the discussion that we just had, okay, so you did not, it was in your minutes, you did not put the 2,500 into the future budget. You took it out. Okay, I just wanted to be clear on that. So do you want to just walk us through the rationale by line on your budget?
Sure. So the general rationale was to go a little more, we wanted to stay a similar total budget as we did this past year of like our actual expenses. So the actual budget amount would actually be about 2,000 lower than we spent this year. So we can kind of focus on building up the housing fund in the coming years. The budget's pretty similar this past year. We have the $10,000 for the admin. The audit fee has been going down this year, so we decreased that by 1,000. My salary is the same minus the CSA raise. And fringe was kind of the estimates from Heather. So that's for my health insurance and disability and IT maintenance and pension, et cetera. And then we have about 60,800 for programs. The committee wanted to do the same amount to Hudson Roots. The funds in the county are only here for ARPA funds, so they're not continuing. Like, it's a one-time thing. We're hoping that if the county is happy with how it goes, they'll put in more money in the future, but we can't rely on that. So we want to put in the same amount for Hudson Roots next year as we did this year. We have $5,000 to support housing rehab grants. So that's the idea that if we're applying for these grants now, if we want to do some more in the future, it's helpful to have a little bit of money up front before you apply for the grant to kind of hire, we discussed like a home inspector or a building inspector that would get really good quotes for the projects. So that's in there. We have $800 for fair housing to do some lawn signs and events for tenants.
Yep.
And then we have $5,000 for open programming, so we have a list of ideas from the committees that they come up next year, some kind of, if you want to do another zoning thing, if you want to do some tenant support, if you want to do is putting more into, we did 2 tenant events, we could put some more into that, or if there's another pilot project that comes up with the grants. So there's 5,000 that's kind of unallocated, we have some ideas that are in the minutes, and then the last 3,000 for contingency. So my salary is separate, like the other departments kind of have a line for materials and all that, I'm not included in any city budget. So this is for things that come up, like this year I needed a computer, the $3,000 is for any unexpected things, just giving us some wiggle room in case anything that comes up. So that's how we got that budget.
The fair housing, again, what was that page on?
Sure, so that is for promoting so one of the ideas was.
Okay, what is it, April? Every year in
Yes.
April. Well, it's April, right?
Yeah.
It's Fair Housing Month. And we do nothing. And it's the city and the county together, Bill Fisher and myself. There's a committee, what's the committee name?
Housing advisory.
Right. And, you know, we want to put out lawn signs, especially want to do banners, but they're too expensive. So we asked for lawn signs for the month of April to just let everybody know that's Fair Housing Month. And also we give forums every year. We give a contest for the kids to bring awareness to fair housing in Columbia County and in Hudson. Okay, so we needed money because, you know.
And the committee, they have some ideas about talking, like maybe putting your phone number, like, you know, so there's anything actionable.
Right.
So they know that there's a housing officer and,
Right, my first year, we did pamphlets,
Yeah.
and that was like almost $800. And then we had them in all of the city buildings, you know, for people could take the pamphlets and, you know, and to be honest with you, I got a check for somebody's parking. It wasn't pamphlets. That was so cute, but that's to bring awareness to, you know, because a lot of things are happening that right under, like, you know, right under our noses.
No, I just wanted, I didn't quite catch what it was, that's all I just wanted.
And the goal is for the signage too, so it continues every year, so it's not just to throw them away, you know, we reuse them as long as they live, you know.
yeah.
Is that the itemized budget?
Yes.
So, we're ready to vote on the budget, or we have to wait?
I think, Chris, didn't you say we should not be voting on this tonight?
Who said that? Chris. We got-
Well, I think you could certainly move this along to incorporate, but this isn't your full budget, right? This is only the HTF portion of the budget, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah, I was just, like, bylaws, I owe it to you guys September 1st.
Fine.
So, and the only thing to note is that the Housing Trust Fund Committee, we only meet 6 times a year. We've met most of the first half of the year. We're not scheduled to meet in September and October. So I just wanted to make sure, like, you know, if you guys want to, you can, but if there's anything you wanted from them, I just have to like let them know we're gonna plan a meeting.
I think it would make more sense if we did it combined with our own budget.
Like we did.
Yeah, you
Just
can't
accept
vote for
that
this
this
one,
what
you
you
did.
presented, and then
Oh,
we get
okay.
Yeah, because our time, last year, I think we were pressed on time, but you got it here on time, so I don't think there's an issue.
Yeah, rescheduling the meetings helps a lot. So we have a 2-week time period between. That's been really helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
so the next is floodplain update. There's no update currently. It's still ongoing, so there's no update on the floodplain. I think the CD we already discussed. Okay, next is public comment. Any public comment? Anyone?
Nothing on mine.
Okay, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second that? Third? All in favor? Motion passed.
Hold it down for that.
Bye-bye.